Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan and today I'm going to be making my 6 bold predictions for the 2022 NHL entry draft. Now, of how wide open this draft class is, I think we're going to see some massive events and massive moves happen on draft weekend. But throughout this next week, what are the biggest and craziest things we could see happen over the next few days and on draft day as well? Watch till the end for all the bold predictions and all the picks, and make sure that subscribe button if you are new. 50% of you guys are not subscribed, so if you like hockey and draft content, this channel is the place to be. Now, starting us off with the first bold prediction of the 2022 NHL entry draft, let's start off with maybe one of the boldest, if not the boldest right now, especially as we get closer to draft time. For my first bold prediction for the draft, I predict that the New Jersey Devils will not trade their second overall pick. It seems like we've seen the Devils be linked to pretty much everybody right now, whether it be JT Miller as of recent, other players like Jacob Chychrun in the past, but of course we've seen the Alex DeBrincat rumors recently, and just so many different guys being available around that second overall pick. But in my opinion, I think by the time the draft comes, the Devils are just not going to want to trade the pick and will end up likely taking Juraj Slafkovsky with the second overall selection. To me, I just feel like as the days go on, even though we've heard so many more rumors, to me, the more rumors I hear about, the more I just feel like New Jersey is going to end up keeping it, and again, going for a Slafkovsky who does check a lot of the boxes of what they need going into the future. For me, when it comes to New Jersey, it's also been reported this way that they need to have an offer that absolutely knocks their socks off. They need to get something absolutely amazing back, and it doesn't feel like for New Jersey they feel like that has come yet. Maybe we'll see that in the future, but I think it'll be on draft day, the Devils selecting with that second pick. Next up, going on my second bold prediction for the 2022 draft. This is one of my more interesting ones here, but in my opinion, I think we could definitely see a trade between the Ottawa Senators and the Philadelphia Flyers exchanging their top first round picks. When it comes to the actual trade that I'm thinking about, we've seen a lot of Connor Brown specifically being in trade rumors, and to me with the Flyers, even though we could see them move down, maybe go for a bigger player, to me I think they might just move down a couple of spots, not loving what they have at that spot, and for the Senators wanting to go up and specifically at number 5 select Cutter Gauthier. If it goes the way I think it goes, where it goes Wright, Slafkovsky, Cooley, and Nemec, when it comes to the Sens, we know they have a huge link towards Gauthier, and to me he fits what they like to draft exceedingly well. And when it comes to the actual trade that I see happening on draft day for the Sens, I see them acquiring the 5th overall pick, of course center prospect Morgan Frost, who, considering John Tortorella is going into that system, I don't think that Frost is going to really end up all too pretty there. He's a guy that's also expendable at age 23 but still has some potential. As for the Flyers, they get the 7th overall pick, of course Connor Brown, and a 2022 4th rounder. The Sens, though, again, will pay a little bit of a pretty penny to be able to move up those spots, but considering what they want in Cutter Gauthier, I think it would make sense for them if they get this deal done. Now, the thing is, also in this trade, I think the Sens are betting on Morgan Frost being an impact player for them, and as we've seen with Colin White just getting waived, they obviously have a little bit less depth at center, and Morgan Frost can have an opportunity to be on that third line C, be around that range, be up the middle with Shane Pinto and Josh Norris in the future. And to me, with Morgan Frost, if you're able to give him some good opportunity, give him some power play minutes, he could be a solid middle six contributor, and I think for the Sens, they see it that way and will want to acquire this young center prospect. Next up, though, going on to number 3 and my third bold prediction for the 2022 draft. This is another interesting one, but in my opinion, for the third bold prediction, I see Frank Nazar going outside the top 15 of this draft. To me, when it comes to Nazar, there's a lot of potential when it comes to his selection. I could see him still going inside that top 10. Specifically, I could see Buffalo taking him at the number 9 spot. But in my opinion, I think Nazar is in an interesting situation. He's on the shorter side of things, and it feels like Nazar is just one of those young players, that one of those shorter players that will end up dropping. We always kind of see those type of situations where the shorter player ends up dropping lower than we expected. Of course, Cole Caulfield was the most recent high-profile example, but I think Nazar kind of fits that same line pretty perfectly, although I definitely think he's worth a top 10 and top 15 selection. I could see a lot of teams passing on him. Now, after the top 15, I think is when he really starts to get a lot of attention. I can see Buffalo taking him at number 16, Nashville at number 17, I think is very, very likely if he's still on the board. But at the latest, I could see him going to Minnesota at number 19. That range is where I see Nazar going, but definitely way lower than where he should. And although it might not be on the same scale as Caulfield, with him being a top 6 prospect at the time for me, and even especially now, and going 15th overall, and with Nazar, having him 8th overall, and going in that potentially 16 to 18 range, it wouldn't be as crazy of a drop, but it wouldn't be too far behind. This fantastic, high-octane offensive forward that goes lower in the draft because of his height. It has happened before, and it's happened pretty recently, and I feel like teams might not be learning from their mistakes. At the same time, though, I think one team could get exceedingly lucky, and let's say it is Nashville number 7. That would be one of the better picks of the entire first round, no doubt. Next up, going to some more predictions on the trade side of things. Going to my 4th bold prediction for the 2022 draft. Let's go on to one of the more interesting ones that I have in a blockbuster trade involving the Arizona Coyotes and the Detroit Red Wings. Now, give me a second here. Elliot Friedman just recently reported that the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Arizona Coyotes are the two teams looking to not just move up, but also acquire more first-round picks in the first round, the most out of all the teams in the NHL right now. With Arizona, to me, there's real solid potential that this draft weekend, this week, is the time that Jakob Chychrun goes. I feel like it's long overdue. We've had this drawn out process, and I feel like this is the time that Arizona gets it done. As for the trade details, the Arizona Coyotes will acquire the Detroit Red Wings 8th overall pick and defenseman Filip Hronek and prospect Cross Hannes. In exchange, the Detroit Red Wings will get Jakob Chychrun. And to me, this checks so many boxes for the Red Wings. In some ways, yes, you already got Moritz Seider as that top line right D, but to me, having Jakob Chychrun right behind him is the exact sort of stability, the exact sort of cushion that Moritz Seider needs next year and throughout his career. And to me, Jakob Chychrun has a fantastic chance of re-signing with Detroit. They have a decent amount of cap space, and that young core is so enticing. There was no reason for Chychrun to leave, and in that situation, I think he'd absolutely thrive. Sure, you could use a better lefty, and Chychrun could play lefty as well. That is a possibility, but to me, I think you also trade Filip Hronek to get some less depth on that right defense and again, be able to complete this trade. To me, I think it makes sense for both sides. For the Coyotes, they still get a pretty young defenseman in Hronek and a solid prospect in Cross Hannes and an 8th overall pick, which in my opinion, there's a couple options they go for there, but a guy like Jonathan Lekkerimaki or potentially Matthew Savoie, I think would fit exceedingly well, especially if they're going to go after Cooley already. But to me, there's so much potential with the Red Wings with Chychrun. We know they want to add to that defense. We know that they want to give some stability and something around Moritz Seider. Chychrun would be absolutely amazing and would also give Seider some more freedom to show up with his offensive results even more than he does. With Chychrun still being great defensively, having amazing potential there, and to me, it's a perfect fit with Detroit and a perfect long-term fit as well. And I know there's going to be people saying, oh, it's an overpay for Chychrun, but again, people like to forget that in 2021, he was one of the best defensemen in the league that season, and especially defensively. Although offensively, he was pretty inconsistent this last year. Defensively, he still was pretty fantastic, even when this down year was happening. And to me, I think there's a solid chance he re-signs, and that might be the biggest concern. And with that out, I don't think Detroit would hesitate whatsoever. And I also don't think they need this 8th overall pick either at all. They want to rebuild and they want to get this team back to a great position. And to me, with Jakob Chychrun, that would be one heck of a chance to really take that next step, make that defense so much more competent all around, and just make the team much more of a threat for next year. Now moving on to the 5th bold prediction of the 2022 NHL draft. This is another one that I've kind of thought about for a while here, but for my number 5 bold prediction, I have Kevin Korchinski going inside the top 10. As it stands right now, to me, there's kind of no opportunity, no chance that Korchinski doesn't go inside the top 10. Specifically, I think Anaheim and Buffalo are the two most likely situations. If he doesn't go to Buffalo, I think he's absolutely going to Anaheim with that 10th selection. And even Arizona, if they are going to go up up to number 8. They've already selected Logan Cooley. Maybe they go after a D-man, and I think Korchinski would be very fun alongside some of the 4 prospects they have already on that team. But to me, Korchinski is going to go extremely high in the draft. Not as high as I would pick him. I still have him around the 20 range in my rankings, but such an electrifying player, such a great skater and high-octane transitional defenseman. And to me, I think a lot of teams are going to love the style. They're going to love the potential and go after him pretty high in this draft. Top 10 is where I see Korchinski going, but again, I see him going no later than Anaheim's pick at number 10. And especially if Arizona moves up, there's potential that he could go as high as number 8. But now moving on to the 6th and final bold prediction of the 2022 NHL entry draft. This might be the most far-fetched one, but to me, the idea is solid. Going under the 6th spot, my bold prediction is that the New York Islanders will trade the 13th overall pick to the Seattle Kraken. Now, give me a second here. We know that Seattle is also another team that wants to make some big moves at this draft, and to me, getting the 13th overall pick would be a pretty big one. You already have that 4th overall selection. You already go after a player like Simona Metz, and to me, Seattle at this spot could go after a pretty big-time forward and bring a lot more potential to that prospect pool. And whether it's 13th overall or some other pick inside the 1st round, I think in general, Seattle has a great chance of potentially moving up while also trying to improve, especially in free agency in this offseason. When it comes to the actual trade itself, the New York Islanders will acquire young D-man Vince Dunn, Jonas Donskoy, young centerman Morgan Geekie, a 2022 4th rounder, which is Seattle, so basically a late 3rd, to the Seattle Kraken. They will get Anthony Beauvillier and the 13th overall pick. To me, this kind of fits for both teams. We know for Beauvillier, he wants out with the Islanders, and they want to trade him. They want to make a deal happen. And to me, in Seattle, that's the type of offensive, high-octane player that they could definitely use. That 13th overall pick as well has a great chance to get another forward on the prospect pool. Another big-time guy. Conor Geekie fits around that type of spot. If Matthew Savoie is available, that would be amazing too. There's a lot of opportunity. For the Seattle Kraken. But for the Islanders, you get a young defenseman in Vince Dunn, which I think they desperately need. Still more of in the pool. Jonas Donskoy brings some great grits to that bottom 6. Morgan Geekie, who can again come in a pretty cheap deal. He'll be an RFA, so he won't cost too much, and then you get that 4th rounder on top of things. So even for the Islanders, I feel like the biggest part of this trade is that for the Islanders, they don't need this 13th pick at all and can afford to maybe overestimate how much they get in a guy like Vince Dunn or even players like Morgan Geekie. But again, they want to fix as many holes as possible, get back to a competitive level this next year. Dunn helps that. Donskoy definitely helps that. I think Morgan Geekie could be a pretty underrepresented but also solid player on that team next year. And for the Kraken, again, they get some offensive firepower that they need. But that'll be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Comment down below what do you agree and disagree with my bold predictions. Let me know what you guys think of them. They're bold for a reason. I didn't want to go too tame, so let me know what you guys think about that. And what are your bold predictions for the 2022 NHL entry draft? Let us know your thoughts down below. Of course, share this video with your friends. Get it to any hockey fans you guys know online. Click this card for all my hockey prospects talk right in one playlist. My name is Nathan. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.